Hurricane Fiona makes its way out into the Atlantic after leaving a trail of destruction through Puerto Rico and Dominica. Rainfall totals have been as high as 20 to 30 inches in some parts of Puerto Rico, and there have been widespread power outages. Welcome back to another edition of Forecast Lab. Let's jump in and look at the satellite. This is the Dvorak curve, which is used to measure the strength of these tropical cyclones. And what we look for is symmetry of very cold eye wall signatures. And we're talking about this black and white. You can see that building in just north of Dominica. Don't have enough frames to really see what it's doing, but I would imagine as that comes out into the warmer waters, we should see intensification. And there's the current NHC graphic. That is a high-end Category 1 storm, and it will strengthen into a Category 3 storm. The high end of the Category 3 range, and looks like Bermuda is under the gun because they're on the right side of the track. So you get not only the strong wind field, but the forward motion added in. So we'll have to keep close tabs on that. That's going to be Thursday night into Friday. In the near term, the Turks and Caicos Islands, which is southeast of the Bahamas, we're expecting problems there later tonight and tomorrow. Hurricane warnings out for that region. Anyway, let's go ahead and head into the current weather. And there we go. There's the current surface analysis. It is definitely summer across the central U.S. Looking at a occlusion moving into northern California and a strong frontal system into the Sierra Nevadas. You can see the much cooler temperatures on the backside of that storm, 70s, in fact lower 70s around Sacramento, and upper 70s down around Bakersfield, and a nice pleasant 75 in Los Angeles. We did see 1.89 inches of rain at Ukiah, and Buckhorn Reservoir out close to there got 2.74 inches, so quite a bit of rain in some areas. And down to the south, we do have Tropical Storm Madeline. That's going to become a factor later this week because it's going to advect moisture north on the right side of the storm, and that's going to head on up, and we're going to get kind of a synergistic effect with the southwesterly flow going into California, and that will bring the higher precipitable water into the Great Basin and Rocky Mountain region. The central U.S., very hot. Hot wave, heat wave in effect. 100 degrees there at Alva, always a very hot station there in Oklahoma, and 100 around Russell. And it will be hotter tomorrow as the heat wave intensifies. And that heat wave will spread into Missouri going into Wednesday. And then we're going to be seeing a cold front moving into that area. The eastern U.S., a few thunderstorms out there around New York City, around Boston, Albany, Poughkeepsie. Those are moving east along this warm front. And the eastern U.S. likewise will see a warm-up as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. And that will spread all the way down into Georgia and Florida. Temperatures will be coming up well into the 90s. And we take a quick look up in Alaska and northern Canada. It is looking a little bit more like winter. Temperatures solidly in the 30s and 40s in Alaska. And as we go into the high Arctic of Canada, seeing some unusually cold temperatures. We haven't seen it this cold in quite a while. Teens and 20s with a stout northwesterly wind. So that's our first taste of winter right there. However, that is flowing into this occlusion graveyard is what I call it. That tends to be around Baffin Island right here. And so that's not really going to come south very much, but one little piece of it will move south around Wednesday. And going into Thursday, that could bring some very cold temperatures, maybe the first major freeze of the season into the Great Lakes area. Okay, what kind of crazy weather are we looking at over the next week? Let's look at the temperatures. These are going to be the maximum temperatures for this afternoon. looking at 100 in Salina, Kansas, and 98 at Kansas City. All of those are going to break records for the date, including this 97 at Columbia. Whoa, yeah, that's tomorrow. Looking at many, many records, all the reds. These are breaking the records for the date. So, yeah, where should we start here? 97 at Goodland, all the way over to 97 at Jefferson City, and even Tupelo, Mississippi, getting in on that action with 99. And more problems for Wednesday. So we're definitely talking about a heat wave here. So that's going to spread into eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, so the mid-Mississippi River Valley, but some warm conditions all the way east into Virginia. The hot weather spreads southeast for Thursday, affecting mostly the southeastern states and the Gulf Coast, looking at 100 around Waco and Houston and 95 in North Carolina. And for Friday, one little pocket there in Texas of near 100-degree temperatures. Most of those records were swept away by a cold front, which we'll take a look at in a minute, but that's moved through the eastern U.S. on Wednesday and Thursday, but obviously did not make it all the way into Texas. For Saturday, just some mid-90s in Texas, Arkansas, actually the Arklatex, I guess we should call it that. Then on Sunday, a moderating trend, not very much going on. And the weather is brought to you by Claritin. Having some allergy problems here. I think a lot of people are. I guess it's ragweed season, so waiting for that first freeze. I had to circle back to the satellite because as we record this at 21:30 UTC, some prolific strengthening, well-defined eye wall there, so we are definitely intensifying. The storm did lose some strength as it crossed this very rugged terrain across Dominica, also Puerto Rico, disrupted the circulation a bit, but now it's back out over open waters. And yeah, you can see that eye wall right there. You don't even need the Dvorak curve to know that it is picking up strength. And the eye itself is also becoming much more well-defined. There's a look at the spaghetti plot of forecast tracks for Hurricane Fiona. You can see that it's grouped very tightly. So there's a lot of confidence in all these different models, only a few outliers. And Bermuda. Yeah, Bermuda it's going to be a very close one there. Let's fade this away and get the official track. Let me pause this a second. All right, I've removed all those layers and we're just looking at the NHC forecast, and I think that's the only valid one I would pay attention to right now. The official track, 62 miles west of Bermuda, so it is going to be a very close one. There it is. There's Bermuda. There's the eye of the storm. So we'll keep watching this through the week, and probably by the time we do Wednesday's show, we'll have a little bit more of a better handle on where this thing is going to go. And the next stop after that, Newfoundland, St. John's. Yeah, they may have some problems with a storm as well. A quick look at SPC, marginal risk in New York with that outgoing line of convection. No real problems on the day 2 except up there in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and Lake Michigan. But for day 3, as that cold front comes out of Canada, MCSs are possible. MCS thunderstorms, squall lines, clusters from Lake Ontario down to Lake Erie, and that'll shift eastward into the overnight hours. All right, the 5-day NHC forecast. Well, there's Fiona. We know that's heading north. There's another storm. We're not going to worry too much about that. That's in the process of recurving, strong prevailing westerlies up to the north. But the Caribbean, yep, that's probably going to mean trouble. Let me show you the GFS and show you kind of a crazy scenario it has. We're going to watch this area here. And at some point, our easterly wave disturbance, yeah, there it is, showing up in the Windward Islands around Friday this week. making its way through the Caribbean over the weekend, stopping in at Jamaica, I guess, seeing the sights. And then during the week, it heads up north of Nicaragua, north of Honduras. And look at those pressures right down here, 955. This is next Tuesday. Again, this far out, this is going to be hypothetical. So we don't put too much stock into the models after 120, 150 hours. But it is interesting. And look at those pressures down to 943, 941, 935, 928. And it just bottoms out 920. Yeah, that's getting way down there. If that actually happened, that would be a major storm impacting Cancun around the 28th. So that's probably not going to happen, but we will keep a close eye on that. And there it is in the Gulf. And a major hurricane roaming around out there south of Texas and Louisiana. And then there's October 5th. So what's the takeaway from that? Well, we know that this area here is going to be kind of stormy, and there's the potential for something to be in the Gulf, in the Caribbean, in about a week. But as far as the details, we just don't really know just yet. But it will be something to keep a very close eye on once we're done with Fiona. Anyway, let's take a look at the weather in the lower 48. I'll bring up the map sequence for that. So starting out for today, hot weather, high pressure in the Mississippi River Valley, downslope conditions helping to heat Kansas up, and they've also got the adiabatic warming, the subsidence from the mid-levels of the atmosphere as the air mass descends and warms. And it's helping to reinforce the hot conditions. And really not much going on except for a little blob of cold air trying to come south in the northern plains, but that doesn't really make much progress. The other factor is going to be Madeline down here. I don't know if I showed that to you on the surface map. Let me go back to that. Yeah, there we go. There it is, Tropical Storm Madeline. That's going to be slinging moisture northward. So we're going to see a major increase in precip in this area. Precipitable waters also coming up as the week goes on. And you can see that thunderstorm activity really start to pick up around Thursday in Utah, Colorado, the Four Corners, and even as far north as Idaho. Some of that is from the energy and the moisture fields further to the west, but they're all coming together right there. And let's see, you can see Fiona out there off the edge approaching Bermuda. So that's not really going to be a concern for the eastern U.S. And let's see, big blob of cool, high pressure coming in through the Great Lakes area. That'll probably help, well, in fact, that will help push Fiona eastward. You get the increase in the prevailing westerlies with that strong baroclinic zone, very cold air to the north, very warm air to the south. Where's my red? Yeah, there it is. So what that means is very strong pressure contrasts with the difference in density between the north and the south, and stronger winds through the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, and that helps carry that hurricane eastward. All right, so it's out of the picture, maybe coming into Newfoundland, of course. And not much going on for the rest of the week. Another bit of cold air coming south. This one comes a little further south into North Texas around the 25th, 26th, and stops in the Red River. No, keeps going. But it's going to be highly modified, so it's just going to moderate the temperatures a little bit. And let's see, after that, yeah, look at that big old high, 1031 millibars. So the northeastern U.S. probably will be on the cool side. And then here comes uncertainty coming in from the south. So again, that's not going to happen, but there is that outside potential that we could see something there in the Gulf. And in closing, a very special thanks to Carl H. Watts for the increased pledge. The Patreon support of many of our viewers is very important to the success of this program. Thanks to people like John Booma, Bruce Broberg, Chris Kegley, Jamie Singleton, Barry Seifert, James Taylor, Jerome Mandela. Thank you very much for helping to keep this program going. And I'll leave you with some footage from San Antonio. Thanks once again to Greg for this awesome footage. We'll see you back here on Wednesday, and we'll check in on what Hurricane Fiona is doing. Take care, and we'll see you in a couple days. Bye-bye.